Ever wondered what it would take for a child to save hundreds of lives mid-air? On Flight 947, a seasoned pilot collapses mid-flight, and the impossible happens. The camera sweeps over the sleek fuselage of Flight 947, cutting inside to the cockpit where alarms shriek and warning lights flash in rapid succession. Pilot Jonathan Hayes slumps over, unconscious, his hand still clutching the yoke. The co-pilot struggles frantically, sweat dripping from his brow. "Mayday! Mayday! We've lost control!" a flight attendant shouts, gripping a passenger's arm as the cabin shakes violently. Below, in the crowded cabin, a 10-year-old boy named Leo sits quietly, sketching in his notebook. He looks ordinary, almost invisible among the screaming adults. Yet a familiar surge of adrenaline courses through him, sharp and precise, as though centuries of experience are awakening within. "Mom," he whispers, sensing the chaos closing in. His small hands twitch. Without thinking, he rises. Every step is deliberate, calculated, a rhythm born from instincts he does not consciously remember. Turbulence rattles the cabin. Luggage crashes to the floor. The co-pilot fights the yoke, but the plane dips sharply, engines roaring. Passengers cling to their seats, some praying, others frozen in disbelief. Leo's eyes narrow. A faint, eerie glow pulses beneath his calm exterior. "Is that a child?" a flight attendant gasps, trying to block him. Leo ignores her. He moves with deadly precision, weaving through the panicked crowd. He reaches the cockpit and pauses, tiny hands hovering above the controls. Without hesitation, he grasps the yoke as if it belongs to him. The co-pilot can only stare, as Leo executes maneuvers no ordinary pilot could attempt. Lightning cracks across the sky. The plane shudders violently. Engines sputter and roar. The altitude drops dangerously as clouds twist around them, black and merciless. "Who is this kid?" a passenger whispers, eyes wide in terror. Leo's gaze is calm, otherworldly. A pulse of energy radiates from him, as though the soul of a legendary ace pilot has been reborn in this small, unassuming body. The storm rages, the plane dips perilously low, and the world outside seems determined to tear them apart. He glances back at the passengers. "Hold on," he says, voice steady and commanding far beyond his years. The co-pilot hesitates, realization dawning. This boy may be the only one who can save them. A violent gust throws the plane sideways. The cabin goes silent. All eyes fix on Leo. The metal frame groans as lightning illuminates terrified faces. Will a 10-year-old truly have the power or skill to save everyone on board? Leo tightens his grip on the yoke. The plane dives into the heart of the storm. Engines scream, wings shudder, and the passenger's fate hangs by a single thread. The plane dives violently, the metal groaning under the force of the storm. Lightning cracks across the sky, illuminating the terrified faces of the passengers. Leo's small hands clutch the yoke, his knuckles white, yet his eyes are calm, sharp, unnervingly focused. "Sir, the child shouldn't even be here," the co-pilot stammers, his hands trembling as he struggles to regain control. "Get back to your seat." Leo doesn't move. He leans forward, scanning the dashboard with startling precision. Throttle stabilize at 80%. Rudder trim -2. Engage flaps incrementally now, he commands, his voice steady, almost unnatural for a 10-year-old. The co-pilot freezes, jaw-dropping. These words aren't just random. They are exact, technical, impossible commands. He realizes with creeping horror that this child knows everything about this aircraft, its systems, quirks, and emergency protocols. Outside, the storm rages with renewed fury. The plane shudders as engines sputter and fail one by one. Rain lashes against the windows, and lightning strikes dangerously close to the wing. The cabin lurches violently. Leo closes his eyes for a heartbeat, feeling a primal surge pulsing through him like something awakening deep inside. His instincts flare, senses sharpening beyond human limits. The co-pilot notices a faint glow in Leo's eyes, subtle yet otherworldly, and a chill runs down his spine. "I don't know how you—" The co-pilot starts, but Leo interrupts, sliding smoothly into the controls. His fingers move with confidence, executing maneuvers that seem impossible, weaving the plane through the storm, countering gusts and stabilizing altitude. The passenger's screams become muffled as everyone senses the strange calm radiating from him. "Trust me," Leo says softly, eyes fixed on the horizon outside the cockpit. His voice carries the weight of a lifetime spent in the skies, every ounce of skill earned and remembered from a past life. The co-pilot hesitates, then slowly releases the yoke. "I don't know what you are, but do it." Leo grips the controls fully, his small frame almost vibrating with the energy surging inside him. The storm outside seems to respond, lightning arcing dramatically across the sky, casting jagged shadows over the plane. Then, as the plane climbs, a massive shadow emerges from the clouds ahead. It is enormous, dark, almost humanoid, but shifting, flickering like smoke and lightning merged. The co-pilot gasps, frozen. Leo tilts his head slightly, a small knowing smile on his lips. "I see you," he whispers. The shadow moves with impossible speed, blocking the plane's path, and the storm around them intensifies as if reacting to its presence. Rain pelts the windows. The engines roar in protest. The boy's fingers tighten on the controls. His heart races with excitement, fear, and something primal, the first hint of his werewolf powers beginning to manifest. He knows this isn't just a storm. It is a challenge. Can a 10-year-old boy truly master the skies and face a force that defies reality itself? The shadow lunges toward the plane, warping through the storm, and the aircraft tilts violently. The co-pilot grips the console for dear life. Leo stares forward, a strange glow in his eyes, ready to confront whatever this supernatural menace is. Episode 3. Shadow in the Clouds. The shadow lunged through the storm like smoke in a hurricane. The plane shuddered violently, wings straining as passengers screamed. Rain hammered the fuselage, lightning split the sky, and the engines roared in protest. Leo's small hands gripped the controls. His heart thumped, but beneath the fear, a strange calm spread through him. The primal surge he had felt earlier grew stronger, awakening instincts older than his 10 years. Something wild, sharp and unrelenting stirred inside him. The co-pilot's voice trembled. "It's not just a storm. It's alive." The shadow broke from the storm, revealing a massive humanoid werewolf, black as midnight, eyes glowing with hunger. Its muscles rippled unnaturally as it hovered midair, claws reaching for the plane. It fed on chaos and fear, and it had sensed Leo's unusual soul. Passengers shrank back in terror. Objects tumbled from overhead bins. Leo's eyes glowed faintly, the first sign of his latent power. He whispered, "I can feel it. Every movement, every intention." Lightning illuminated the werewolf's twisted form. It tilted its massive head, sniffing the air. Leo. His senses sharpened beyond human limits. He felt the currents of air, micro vibrations in the wings, the rhythm of the creature's approach. He predicted attacks before they happened. His body moved almost on its own. "Brace yourself," Leo shouted. The co-pilot clutched the console, knuckles white. The rogue lunged for the wing. Leo twisted the yoke instinctively, flipping the plane in a daring arc. Passengers were thrown off balance. The rogue collided with the fuselage, a shockwave rattling the aircraft. The cabin groaned. Oxygen masks dropped. Luggage smashed to the floor. Lightning struck dangerously close to the left engine. The plane spiraled, corkscrewing through the storm. Screams filled the cabin. Leo's mind raced, syncing instinct and memory. He felt the werewolf's intent, its hunger, its rhythm. His pulse throbbed like a drumbeat, guiding him through every strike. Claws shredded metal. Turbulence battered the fuselage. The co-pilot gasped, "We're losing control." Leo's hands moved like lightning, but the rogue was relentless. Faster, stronger. The storm amplified its power. He looked at the passengers, terrified and helpless. Something snapped. This was no longer survival. This was instinct, honor, and raw power awakening. Could a 10-year-old boy, reborn from a legendary ace pilot, withstand a supernatural predator midair? The rogue lunged again, sharper, faster. The plane spun violently, diving into the storm. Passengers screamed as freefall consumed them. Leo's glowing eyes met the creature's malevolent gaze. The plane spun violently, corkscrewing through the storm. Passengers screamed, clinging to their seats as if holding on could anchor them to reality. Lightning sliced through the sky, illuminating Leo's glowing eyes. His small hands gripped the yoke, claws glinting faintly, a silent warning of the power coiled within him. The co-pilot froze, disbelief etched across his face. I don't understand. How are you flying this? Focus, Leo said, his voice steady, commanding. Everything else is noise. The storm erupted with a deafening roar. The rogue werewolf attacked again, but this time it wasn't just physical. The plane's instruments flickered, autopilot screens blinked erratically, and false readings flooded the cockpit. Warning sirens screamed like banshees. Leo moved with preternatural precision, swatting at the malfunctioning console as if he could crush the chaos itself. The autopilot hissed in defiance, trying to wrest control. His glowing eyes sharpened. Every movement was instinct, every breath synchronized with the machine. The yoke obeyed his will. Through the boiling clouds, a commercial jet hurtled toward them. "Leo, we're going to collide," the co-pilot shouted, panic in every word. "Trust me." Leo's voice cut through the storm. Time slowed for him. He felt the pulse of the plane, the rhythm of the rogue, and the heartbeat of the storm itself. With a daring barrel roll, he twisted the plane just in time, the other jet passing mere feet from their nose. Screams filled the cabin, passengers unaware that a 10-year-old boy was channeling decades of piloting mastery and a rising supernatural power to save them. The rogue snarled, slamming against the fuselage. Leo felt the surge of energy course through him, primal, intoxicating, unstoppable. His senses sharpened beyond human limits. He could anticipate the creature's attacks, predict turbulence, even read the storm's shifting patterns. The plane stabilized, eerie silence falling over the cabin as passengers held their breath. Relief was fleeting. Through the crackling lightning, a massive shadow emerged, darker and more menacing than the rogue. It moved through the storm with terrifying purpose, a predator born from chaos itself. That's impossible," the co-pilot whispered. Leo's claws flexed. He knew instinctively this was no ordinary threat. This was a force meant to test him, to crush him, and everything he believed he could handle. He tightened his grip on the yoke. The plane became an extension of his body. Every gust, every lightning strike, every tremor resonated with his instincts and newfound power. The shadow lunged, massive wings of storm and darkness eclipsing the plane. Lightning struck dangerously close. The rogue snarled, circling, waiting for a weakness. Leo's eyes blazed as he met the threat head-on. The plane plunged, twisting through the storm, fate dangling by a fragile thread. Time slowed. The wind screamed. The storm roared. A 10-year-old boy carrying the soul of a legendary ace and awakening werewolf power, prepared to face a predator that could devour worlds. The colossal shadow loomed, blotting out the stormy sky as the plane twisted and dove, buffeted by winds that seemed intent on tearing it apart. Lightning crackled dangerously close, illuminating Leo's glowing eyes. His heart pounded, but beneath the fear was clarity. This was no ordinary storm. It was a trial, a test designed by the ancient forces that governed werewolf power, meant to see if he could rise, survive, and reclaim the legendary title he had been born to inherit. A voice, faint but unmistakable, whispered through his mind. It was his own, yet older, deeper. The voice of the ace pilot whose soul had been reborn within him. "You were chosen. This reincarnation was planned. Only you can hold the skies. Only you can prevent the storm from destroying everything below." The words resonated and instinct took over. Leo's small hands became extensions of decades of mastery. The plane responded to his will, twisting, banking, and diving with precision no human could hope to achieve. Outside, the massive shadow surged closer, massive wings of darkness tearing through the clouds, striking like a predator with no fear of death. Think, Leo. Predict its moves, the voice urged, guiding him through memories of maneuvers and aerial acrobatics only he could perform. He looped the plane sharply, narrowly avoiding lightning strikes that split the sky like jagged swords. The rogue werewolf snarled beside him, circling as both guardian and enemy, its red eyes flashing with an unwilling loyalty. The plane shuddered violently, but Leo fought every tremor, syncing his heartbeat with the wings, the yoke, and the storm itself. He felt the power of the ace surge through his veins, his werewolf instincts sharpening his senses. Each gust of wind became a rhythm, each flash of lightning a signal. He rolled the aircraft along a near-vertical drop. The shadow lunged and missed by mere feet. His glowing eyes traced every movement, anticipating the next strike, calculating angles, and harnessing both pilot skill and supernatural instinct. The co-pilot, trembling and speechless, clung to the console as Leo twisted the plane through impossible arcs, defying the laws of physics and facing a predator born of chaos. You're not just a boy," he whispered, awestruck. Time seemed to collapse. The shadow struck again, and the rogue werewolf collided with it, teeth bared and claws extended. In a sudden surge of energy, the rogue let out a final defiant roar, its body dissolving into a storm of crimson energy that merged with the plane itself. The cockpit shook violently. Instruments exploded in sparks. The fuselage groaned under the unnatural force. Leo's eyes blazed brighter than ever as the plane erupted in a massive mid-air explosion, tearing through the storm clouds. Fire and wind whipped around him. Passengers screamed, but Leo's instincts held firm. He gritted his teeth, every nerve alight with power and focus, knowing the storm was far from over and that the true trial had only just begun. Lightning illuminated his face. The shadow still lurked, darker and more massive than ever, and the remnants of the rogue's essence pulsed violently through the aircraft. Leo felt his werewolf aura expand, mingling with the plane's vibrations. His senses stretched beyond human limits. He could feel the currents of air, the heartbeat of the storm, even the shadow's dark intentions. The plane hurtled toward the unknown, and Leo realized with a cold certainty that survival alone would not be enough. He had to master the full legacy of the ace, or everything below would perish. The storm roared as the aircraft spun out of control. Lightning danced across the sky, illuminating the massive winged figure that chased him. Leo's glowing eyes met the chaos head-on. His claws itched to strike. His fangs tingled with the promise of unleashed power. The trial had escalated beyond a battle for survival. The storm tore through the sky with relentless fury. Debris rained around the plane, engines choking under the strain, metal groaning and sparks leaping from stressed circuits as Leo fought the controls. Passengers clung to their seats, faces drained of color, voices lost in screams. Amid the chaos, Leo's mind was astonishingly clear. The rogue's essence, a fragment of the shattered werewolf, throbbed within the aircraft like a dark heartbeat, reaching for him, seeking to claim his body and bend his reincarnated soul to its will. Leo's eyes flared with an otherworldly light, senses igniting. This was no longer survival. This was mastery. He drew on every memory, every instinct of his past life as the legendary ace pilot. The rogue's energy surged around him, chaotic and malevolent, yet Leo welcomed it, bending the raw power into himself. A force beyond mortal or werewolf coursed through his veins, fusing mind, body, and plane into a single unstoppable entity. The storm itself became a symphony. Every gust of wind, every crack of lightning, every roaring bolt a note he could read, predict, and command. The plane twisted and looped with impossible precision, banking as gusts threatened to tear it apart. Lightning struck dangerously close, yet Leo weaved through it effortlessly, his reflexes enhanced by the rogue's power. perception sharpened beyond human limits. The aircraft obeyed him as if it were an extension of his very soul, tilting, diving, climbing, and rolling with the grace of a predator hunting its prey. Through sheets of rain and swirling clouds, a faint glimmer appeared below, a narrow, almost invisible airstrip. Every muscle, every nerve, every shred of werewolf-enhanced instinct aligned. Sparks flew from battered wings, engines groaned, but Leo's hands were unwavering, guiding the plane through impossible turbulence, skimming jagged rocks and lightning-split trees as if the storm itself bent to his will. With a heart-stopping screech of metal, the plane touched down. Wheels skidded across wet tarmac, smoke coiling around damaged wings. Passengers screamed and then cheered, eyes wide with disbelief. They had witnessed the impossible, a boy defying death, mastering chaos, bending forces no one could comprehend. Leo stepped onto the slick ground as the storm began to relent. Lightning shimmered across his skin, eyes gleaming with triumph and exhaustion. The rogue's essence had been absorbed, leaving him stronger, wiser, and fully in command of his dual legacy as ace pilot and werewolf hero. The passengers swarmed him, awed and grateful, but Leo only smiled, calm radiating from him like the sun breaking through storm clouds. The skies had been conquered, the threat annihilated, and the legend of the ace reborn had reached its peak. Yet in the distance, the horizon shimmered with unseen possibilities, whispering of challenges beyond even this victory. The boy, the ace, the werewolf, the hero walked forward, leaving footprints in the wet earth, a living testament to courage, skill, and destiny fulfilled. The storm was over. The legend had just begun.